To this. One kick of the ball by Didier Drogba. Yeah, it's the greatest night in Chelsea history. Champions of Europe at last.
Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Stand once again. Thank you for always supporting us. Before we get into this whole show today, which is going to be a blockbuster show, I just want you guys to take the opportunity right now and smash the like button, subscribe if you're here new, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all our content that comes up. We try and upload twice a week, so stay in touch with all of that and have a look at all our social media, links that's popping up as well, and stay in touch with everything. So let's get straight into it, guys. Look, obviously we've just had our first game in the Premier League, which is just finished, just more than 12 hours ago, really. And look, it wasn't the prettiest performance, but we got 3 points, and that's the most important part for the time being. So look, we're not going to take this show to talk about the starting lineup and how the match went and whatnot, but we want to talk about some talking points and related to some of the player performances. So let's get straight into it. First of all, I want to talk about Timo Werner and Kai Havertz and pass it on to my panelists that are always here, Amir and Kunal, and they'll get the opportunity to talk about some of their talking points. So first of all, Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. For me, Timo Werner, he was just a powerhouse. The way he was, his work rate, his pace, his movement, it was just phenomenal to watch this guy. All that energy that he has, it's going to be so crucial for us. Finally, we have a striker that's actually going to be causing a hell of a lot of havoc. And this is no disrespect to Tammy Abraham last season, who was really good. But I think, since the days of Didier Drogba and I suppose Diego Costa, we've finally found someone who's lethal enough. But he's a lot more different in regards to playing style. So a lot to be excited about. The only thing that I have to say about the whole team of Werner is I wish the players in and around him really look to release him quicker. I felt like sometimes we're not releasing him quick enough, and that's his biggest asset, his pace. In regards to Kai Havertz, I don't think that position where he was playing, which was the right wing, was probably his best position. A lot of fans out there, not our fans, but the rival fans are coming out and really mocking him. But to be honest, I don't think we can mock him for that performance at all, because I think his best position is just behind Timo Werner as a number 10, where he can find those key passes and then still be in and around the whole attacking area to score goals. I don't think right wing is the right position for him. He didn't even get the ball that often enough to actually have proper impact. The few times he did get it, he tried to release Timo Werner with those really amazing passes, the vision, and you can see the talent that this player has. So I'll hold my thoughts about him for a few more games until we see it. But Amir, going to you, man, what's your thoughts about Werner and Kai Havertz?
I think both of them were pretty good, honestly. I think, as you mentioned, Havertz, we should probably give him some time before, we judge him properly. As we know, he's come from a new league, from a different environment altogether to the Premier League, and he's just 21. And we saw a lot of reports saying that, he did impress Lampard in training. So I think that he has the potential to really impress us, but I think he just has to get going. Once he sets off, on track, then there's no stopping him. But we have to wait a while, I think, for him to get back on track. Like Pulisic last season, he didn't start off strongly at all, and he was excluded from the matchday squad even at times. But then he finished the season as probably our best player. So I think that we have to remain patient with Havertz in that regard. And as you said, the position, I think it was really astounding. You could see the average positions maps which were circling around Twitter last night after the game, and you could see that Havertz was almost behind Reece James. Reece James was in a more advanced position than Havertz, so that was really intriguing. I think a lot of rumors saying that we were supposed to play 4-2-2-2, but then it looked more like a 4-2-3-1 to me. So I don't know. It was very vague, and I didn't quite get what Lampard was trying to do. But then, I think that we'd have to wait for a while. He didn't get involved. I think he made a pretty good run, but Mount couldn't find him. I think in the first half. So that was really promising. And moving on to his German national teammate Werner, I think Werner was excellent. He didn't get a goal, but he was, as you mentioned, right? He was on the last shoulder of the last man on so many occasions, but no one was
Yeah.
willing to release him. Like Alonso tried many times but couldn't succeed. I think Loftus-Cheek tried one. It was a pretty simple pass, but then Loftus-Cheek was unable to complete it. And then Barkley as well. I think Barkley did make a good impact, but even he had a chance to put Werner through, but then didn't complete it. I think he waited too long eventually, and then the chance just sort of fizzled away. So yeah, I think that Werner was really promising. Havertz as well. I think probably give him some time. So those are my two thoughts. But what I'd like to concentrate upon is the promising, displays by our defenders, like Zuma and Christensen. Both of them excellent last night. I think that Frank Lampard's really going to have a headache in picking the centre back partner for Thiago Silva once he's back. So that's something that I was really happy about. In fact, I don't think Brighton had. They did have quite a few chances, but nothing clear cut. Like barely one or two shots on target. So I think that I was pretty content with our defending. Christensen was excellent. Zuma was excellent as well. Got a goal, but then his passing was a little bit suspect at times. Probably went out of play a couple of times. But yeah, Christensen was spot on. I think he was an underrated shot for man of the match. Actually, talking about the man of the match, I think it was probably Reece James. So I'll move things on to Kunal. Kunal.
Thanks for the opportunity, Ameya, and I want to apologize to our lovely viewers, first of all, for not being in attendance during our previous video. So, it would be wrong to run from the reality of the situation in the last match, because it became abundantly clear that our new signings, particularly Havertz, were finding it difficult to string their passes together and perform at their absolute best. But I also want to say that people who were expecting a prime Werner or prime Havertz to emerge out of it, they were not being realistic in that regard. As football fans, these are unprecedented times. The team only had a week or so of training together. Most of the guys were on national duty and they barely got to know each other. And also a few guys were, they were in isolation period or going through injury concerns. So to be rational, it was to be expected. The good thing here was that the new signings were able to get crucial minutes under the belt. And that too in a victory cause without facing any hiccups result-wise. How often have we seen in the recent past that we have failed to perform at our optimum level, and that has cost us 3 points? So it's a refreshing change from the norm in that sense. Performance-wise, there were also a few positive, I think, in that sense, that we were able to see exactly what these players are able to give, and why we brought them in the first place. We saw Werner and his signature runs behind the defense. We saw his blistering pace and Kante-like work rate that Werner has as a forward. We also saw how effortless and relaxed Havertz seems on the ball. The guy is just able to glide with the ball without necessarily sprinting. So, he's very composed on his passing as well. So, for your first frame in the Premier League, that's the nature of the beast. And this is why the best players are excited about playing here, because it's the best ground to prove your worth. So I'm pretty excited with the fact that even when we were missing key players and even when our main players did start, were not on the same wavelength, we still ended up with a convincing scoreline of 3-1. So we know that the only trajectory for this team is upwards. So we can only imagine how great it could get once we all have all the pieces of the puzzle together. You see, now on to the Reece James discussion. Let me just say, I know it's early doors, but the goal is going to be involved in the discussion for the goals of the season. It's an early shout, and it very well might be the Chelsea goal of the summer already. He absolutely murdered the ball with his feet, and it just goes to show the technique that the guy possesses. In fact, even without the goal and the assist, Reece James had a pretty impressive game all in all, even in defensive wise. He showed strength, he showed the vision, he showed the positioning, and he showed the willingness to defend, which were a certain points that I was criticizing him in the previous season when Reece James was just about a bit too casual in the defensive phase of the game. Yeah. He was willing to put in the crosses. He was more than willing to go to the byline. But when it came to the counter attack, and I think Reece James was not putting his weight that much. So I'm very happy with the performance in the first game of all the team, to be honest. And I can't wait to see how much he grows in this stature, Reece James, that is, as one of the best fullbacks in the league. People who were making fun of him, being mentioned in the same sentence as the other fullbacks, and I know who I'm talking about. They now have a taste of what Reece James is all about. And if they think that the goal yesterday was an anomaly, they have not seen that goal he smashed in for Wigan 2 seasons back. So it just goes to show that the player has his technique, and with that said, I think I want to get your thoughts, Miz, on the particular game last night, and what you have to say about the guys that were making, a positive impact and had a great
Yeah,
showing.
yeah, absolutely, man. Look, firstly, in regards to Reece James, I think, as you said, that was probably the most complete performance I've seen of Reece James since he started featuring for Chelsea. There's always been a question mark around his defending, as you've mentioned, in terms of positioning and how he sometimes tracks back. But yesterday, we saw many facets of his game where, one, he used his strength really well against some of the Brighton players, where he pushed them off, palmed them off. Going forward, he's always enterprising, in terms of crossing and that shot, that technique. You could see that he was shaping up that shot as soon as he took that first touch to push that ball aside. I think a similar situation happened last season, and there were a few times that happened last season. There were a few times where he didn't take the shot, and there was a couple of times where he did take the shot, and the shot just fizzed over the bar. You can see as the seasons are progressing, as he's getting more experience, he's now going to start, lining up that shot, and his technique is going to come through. The way it just fizzled into the back net, oh my God, it was hit like a rocket. So yeah, defensively as well, he was just so phenomenal in terms of how strong he was. So yeah, overall, I think the players that we've already talked about and the positive impacts that they've had are great. Now let's look about some of the players that were big question marks on them, and the focus will be on these guys. I know it's the first match, but this season is not about being relaxed. I think this season we really, really need to work hard, and as we've mentioned already, we need to reduce that gap between Liverpool and Manchester City. So every game is very important. So let's first talk about. So the three players that I want to talk about is Kepa, Alonso, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. These three. So I wanted to start talking about. Let's go with Alonso, the one that's always been a bit of an issue. So let's get him out of the way. I think Lamptey absolutely murdered him. There's no doubt about that. Lamptey absolutely killed him. There's a compilation that's going around in social media and in football Twitter where, predominantly Lamptey is absolutely killing Alonso in that compilation. And the thing about Alonso is that, look, yes, we probably should use a left-sided, fullback. But the thing is, when he goes forward, he doesn't track back quick enough when he goes backwards. He's too slow in regards to that. So Chilwell's going to make a big difference when he comes in, and I can't wait for that to happen because we need a proper left back. Next up is a tricky one here, which is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Let's get this out of the way before we bash Kepa. I think, look, with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, guys, my take is that, yes, once again, it's the first game, but I think we need to realize that if he doesn't start shaping up a little bit, like I don't think we have positions for lazy players anymore. This team just has too much quality, all over the pitch right now to harbor a lazy player. There were a few moments where I saw Ruben Loftus-Cheek yesterday just jogging, and it kind of annoyed me. The one thing I hate is when I see players jogging. I've seen players jogging too many times last season. Alonso jogging. I saw Jorginho jogging. I saw many other players jogging last season, and
But he was
don't
running
appreciate
actually.
it.
His pace was jogging. Right? Jorginho was actually sprinting at his best.
True. So yeah, in regards to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I mean, not just the whole laziness factor, his passing, his thinking, like everything was just off. And he better start shaping up quick, because if he doesn't get on with it, he's going to be left behind. And yes, I know it's the first game, and I'm not going to be slating him, and I'm not going to be too harsh on him. But the concern is he needs to improve on that bad performance very quickly. Lastly, Kepa, before I move on to yourself, Kunal, again. The whole Kepa situation, guys, I've come to a realization, and I know we've all talked about this, and I was just watching the YouTube show of, Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, and they were pretty much saying, and I can't completely understand, they were saying that no Premier League teams have won the Premier League over the last, let's say, 20 to 30 years with an average keeper. If you look at all the teams that have won the Premier League, Chelsea, Man United, Manchester City, Liverpool recently, none of them have had during that Premier League winning times an average keeper. You can't win the league with an average keeper. You need a keeper that's going to be dominant in the box. You need a keeper that's going to be a dominant shot stopper. It's simple as that. And that shot from Trossard, honestly, as much as everyone can say that, defense needs to push up, defense needs to, do its best to block that shot, but the defense is not always going to stop every shot. There's going to be opportunities where there are going to be shots coming in. That's when you need Kepa to make those blocks. He made one really, really good save, but that one from Trossard really should have happened. What's your thoughts, Kunal?
I mean, as soon as I open my mouth about Kepa, I mean, people have this certain sort of a thing that I hate him or what. I don't hate Kepa. I don't rate Kepa. You need to understand the difference. I don't hate the guy. I don't rate the guy. And just like you mentioned, Miz, all the teams, not just in the Premier League, but in the European Championships as well, the team that have dominated, even the recent ones like the Real Madrids and the Bayern Munich, I mean, all of a sudden now Prime Neuer is back. So you see the real importance of having a goalkeeper playing at his optimum level. So with Kepa, I mean, you saw the shot that he considered in the last match. I mean, the ball pretty much went under his arms.
That's poor.
And his arms are not that long in the first place. So it just goes to show that for a particularly above average goalkeeper, that was a regular save. Because Kepa by nature is not very long. His height is not that good.
You know that shot. That shot wasn't even hit with that much power. Like it was not a venomous shot.
Venomous shot, definitely. Yeah. So all of a sudden you want to put all the blame on defense, but that's why the goalkeeper is there in the first place, because you don't expect the defense to be getting in the way of each and every shot. I mean, if it was possible, then why would you need a goalkeeper in the first place? Because goalkeeper is your last line of defense. If the defenders they do f up, then you need the goalkeeper to come to the rescue. How many times have we seen that? And that's the way it goes with Chelsea in the past few seasons, 2 or 3 seasons. Because you just don't get a -11 goal ratio or expected goal ratio when you're a good player. Because we talk about only the first game. Well, what about the previous 60 or 70, in fact? So all of a sudden, in a gap of 6 weeks, people were expecting some sort of a rebirth. It's just not going to happen, and that's why I think that if the long-term vision is to win trophies, which is abundantly clear with the 3-year plan that was doing the circulations. So in that regard, you need a top goalkeeper, man. I mean, there's just no second way about it. You need a goalkeeper who is commanding in the box. You need a goalkeeper who is has that positional sense. So often with Kepa, I think he's just too late. He's already a short guy, and he's just too late while reflecting to a shot. Like his reflexes are not there in the first place, and when you don't have that advantage in the height scenarios, then what is the passing ability going to do? I mean, it can only take you as long. Why not play him in the midfield and in the Jorginho role if that's what the Kepa is supposed to do? So, I mean, that's all I have to say. I mean, there's nothing worse that can go in the goalkeeper department. It's not statistically possible to be worse than what he's currently performing at. So why not try it? But yeah, in all seriousness, I think that if the mission is to win trophies and challenge for the PL title, then the reality is that we need to find a solution between the sticks. And with Kepa, I mean, I understand that we are going to keep him because of the fact that his actual selling value is absolutely in the ground floor. But like, how about you? I just feel bad for the guy as well at this point. Why not just cut losses and, give him another shot at making it happen in some other place, at some other club? I mean, he's still 26 years old just. So you can expect a certain team, who is deficient in that goalkeeper department to, take a punt on him. Obviously not going to pay a world-class sort of fee for him anymore, but that's not going to happen anyway. So why not just, for the sake of the guy? I just want, so how can I hate Kepa when I'm saying it for the sake of the guy? I think he needs a move, man. He just needs a move to another club. Like, that's the sort of a thing for all the parties involved. I think that's the best case scenario. Yeah, that's what I think. So yeah, Mayor, what's your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, I think that you said it pretty well. I think he's been so poor this season. the last season as well as in the first game. I think he made a decent save in the first half, which was fine, and then the second half he did that. You were right. The ball just went under his arm, right? And I think any
Mm.
keeper, any of the 19 other keepers in the league would have probably saved that. Man, I think
Yeah.
any of you could probably take the Indian goalkeepers who play in the Indian leagues in India. That they would have saved that shot, man. I think that was really poor. I think that especially being a goalkeeper myself, I play as a goalkeeper, in tournaments and whatnot. But then,
Oh,
it's basics to get out the ground and stop that. I mean, I think you could say that it pitched in front of him or whatnot, but then that was really poor. And I think one incident which we're missing is that even in the first half when they had a corner, he went and jumped and tried to punch the corner out, but then
totally
missed the
missed
ball
it.
Yeah,
completely.
Oh,
He
that was
missed it
that was so
embarrassing.
completely.
hilarious.
Exactly. And then luckily for us, it went out and it was a goal kick. But then imagine if it wasn't, right? Imagine if there was a Brighton player standing right behind that. He would have headed
Oh,
home. So I think that, I think that's really poor once again from Kepa. And I think at this point, I think he knows, yeah, right? I think he knows
Mm.
and Lampard knows and everyone knows that his Chelsea career is beyond repair. We're just playing him because we
Mm.
don't want to play a 39-year-old in goal, right? I think
Mm.
that that's the only reason he's playing at the moment. And, as we mentioned, the 3-year plan, I think that Mendy will probably come in soon, probably by the end of this week. And then he's going to probably compete with Kepa for this season and next season. If there's still no improvement, then I think next summer we're going to go big on another goalkeeper and probably, let go of Kepa maybe on a loan or probably cut our losses, like you mentioned, right? We could sell it, give him on loan to one of the Spanish sides, probably. I don't know. So let's see if anyone's interested. But yeah, I think that that's my thoughts on Kepa. Alonso, there's nothing more to say. I think Loftus-Cheek, if I could just touch upon him quickly,
yeah.
he was, I think, he wasn't exactly, not. I think he was cautious. That's what he's scared, right? I mean, I get it. His mental condition is such that after being out for 13 months with an injury, it's going to be really hard for you to come back, right? And it's such a horrendous injury, tearing your Achilles muscle altogether. So I think that's running in his mind probably, and he's not giving his 100%. He's not going for those 50-50s. He's just lost his confidence, and I think at this stage in his career, I think it's really important that he has to get it back, especially if he wants to retain a squad, retain a place in the side in the Chelsea squad, because I think that if it does come down to it, I don't think Lampard's going to show any mercy to him, right? Because we've seen that Lampard is ruthless when it comes to team selections, and he doesn't discriminate, whether you're from the academy, whether you're injured or not. But then once if we'll probably give him this entire season, but if he doesn't show any, proper improvement, then I think next season we could be looking at selling Loftus-Cheek. I mean, I know he's a fan favorite. He was terrific under Sarri, but I think that probably if there isn't any sizable improvement, then we could be selling him next summer.
Yeah,
Interesting you
man.
mentioned that we should keep Kepa in the Jorginho role, Kunal, because the next player I'm going to be talking about before finishing off this episode is Jorginho. I think he had a fairly decent game, to be honest.
He was good.
On
He was good.
on paper, he has a goal and an assist, right? So that's great. But I think that so I think that Jorginho had a pretty decent game.
Okay,
Kante was,
just before you continue,
yes.
I'm really asking you to be careful because you are already accused of being a Sari fanboy and Jorginho holic.
You,
Jorginho holic. So yeah, tread
ironically,
carefully from here on.
ironically, you're the one with the Juventus kit, Kunal. You're the one with the Juventus kit. We don't
I
forget.
mean, CR7 is a fan, man. But yeah, you were saying, yeah. Let's just forget about it.
Caught, absolutely red-handed.
The Juventus kit was on sale, man. What did you expect me from it? I asked him for a Chelsea shirt. He didn't have it at the moment.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, before, just to clarify to all the viewers, I have been accused of being a, Jorginho holic and a Sarri fanboy, but I support every manager that's at the club, right? Just because I used to love Sarri and Jorginho, it's not like I'm Lampard out. It's not like I don't like Mount, for example. I love Mount. I think he's a great guy, and I really love the players coming in from the academy as well. So I just think that I'm a guy who has no agendas, who speaks it as it is and backs the manager, right? So I think that it's a bit unfair to call me a Sarri fanboy now. I think when he was at the club, you could have said that, but now I don't think that's fair. So, but anyway, going on to the Jorginho topic, I think that he was actually pretty decent in the last match, right? And just before, to clarify things, I think even Kante had an excellent game. It's common for Jorginho holics to, criticize Kante, but I think Kante had a pretty good game as well. Last night he was everywhere, all over the pitch, literally. You could see his touches and his heat map, and it was literally everywhere. So I think that Kante had a good game. Jorginho was decent. I think he did get past once or twice. I was reading up the stats and SofaScore earlier today, and I think that he got dribbled past twice and stuff like that. But then he won 50% of his ground duels, 100% of his aerial duels, and I think he was pretty good, right? Pretty decent. He made 2 tackles as well, got 2 interceptions. And I think that overall, I think he was pretty decent. He did get caught out of position once or twice, but his passing ability was once again good. I think he completed 2 key passes as well, which is really good, especially for the deep lying playmaker. So I think that on the whole, Jorginho was pretty decent. I think it was a surprise to see him start. Actually, I think both of us didn't have him in our lineups, Miz. So I think that it was pretty interesting to see Jorginho start. But I think that he was a professional, and even though many people are saying that he's been told that he's got to find a new club, probably has, probably hasn't, but even if he has been told that, and he still came out and captained the side last night, so I think it was really good performance, really professional. I think we praised Giroud for his professionalism of staying at the club and fighting for his place, and I think we should do the same for Jorginho too at this point in time. So I think that yeah, that's all I'm saying, and I think that Jorginho had a pretty decent game as well. So all in all, our attack looked a little bit dry and lack of dynamism. I think once Pulisic is back, we could probably see more directness and see more fluidity in our play. And as you mentioned, a lot of players are probably still rusty because of a lack of a proper preseason, and we've had just 1 week in training. So I think that sooner or later the results will come. The important bit was getting the win. And, so this is the first time under Lampard where we've not deserved to win, but have won. And that is what champions do. I think that that's an underrated aspect of being a champion. If you want to be champion, you've got to grind those victories. Sometimes you probably might not be having good games, but then you've got to just try your best and go out there and get a victory. So I think that Chelsea did that. They showed that last night. So I think that that was a really promising sign. So I think on that note, just before we close things off, I got the prediction right, so I'm delighted about that. 3-1.
Well, I got the FPL prediction.
Kepa.
Yeah, Kepa. Exactly.
Kepa tax,
exactly.
so you got it wrong by 1 goal. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. On that note, Miz, you want to close things off?
Just quickly on that whole Jorginho factor before we close things off is that
Yeah.
I think we need to let the fans down. I get bashed about this quite a lot. I get bashed about this quite a lot recently, since I just need to clarify that I don't hate Jorginho. I really like that player. My whole, my whole take on this matter is Frank, from what we saw last season, especially at the end of the latter part of the season, he wanted to play with a lone DM and attacking eights. Whether we like it or not, that's a different story. I'm basically saying if that's how Frank wants, then Jorginho doesn't fit. And we saw that. He wasn't starting because he doesn't fit that particular role. In a double pivot, yes, he could fit. My only issue is in a double pivot with Kante, and that goes for Kovacic as well, and this is why we're linked with Rice, is that Kante bombs up. As you said, Amir, his heat map is everywhere. So when you leave someone like Jorginho at the back, and mind you, no disrespect to Brighton, it was Brighton, even though they were pretty all right. If we come up against a very quality team that knows how to counter quick, that knows how to pass quick, that knows how to just rip through the midfield and defense, we're going to have the same issues again with Jorginho being the last midfielder. I'm telling you right now, if that's how Frank wants to play. If Frank wants to play how Sarri was playing, then that's a different story. Because then you're a little bit more compact. You're not so expansive. Frank wants to play the expansive game. So, just on the whole thing, Jorginho is not someone we hate. Jorginho is a very good player. He's just it's a manifestation of the style that we are playing that kind of doesn't suit him. And as I said, you can argue all day long, maybe we should change the style. But at the end of the day, you need to appreciate what Frank wants to do. At the end of the day, Frank is the manager, and he will do what he wants to do in his period being the manager here. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, nonetheless, he had a very good game. Assist. I mean, come on. I don't know if we really can call that an assist.
That's like how Bruno Fernandes stat pads on assist.
I mean, he just laid the ball off to Reece James, who then cracked that shot in. But that interception was smart. Being alert for the first goal, getting that interception, and this is what I mean. He released Werner quick. It was a one-touch pass straight to Werner, and then Werner used his pace to get that penalty. And this is something that we really need to understand. So yeah, guys, look, that's pretty much it about this whole particular talking points of this match. Hope you guys all enjoyed it very much. And yeah, until next time, guys. Once again, if you've enjoyed this video, smash the like button, guys, and subscribe. We're very, very close to 400 subscribers now, so that's fantastic news for us. And hit the bell notification. Thank you to my panelists, Amir and Kunal, once again for joining here. And yeah, until next time, guys. See ya.